How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Amatsutsumi. Alrighty, so we are back home after another lovely day of witnessing ghostly events, and by that I mean Suzuka. But also in the last episode, the Koichi Kyoko predicament has finally been settled. For now. I'm sure something later on may possibly come up because Suzuka is still around, at least as a ghostly spirit. But the main problem between those two, which was just the air needing to be cleared up, that's all good. And they can now start over as friends. That is unfortunately not the only takeaway. Kyoko and Makoto finally got it going in the last episode, which means Makoto has collected all the Infinity Stones. And now I guess the game is just going to spring those up whenever it feels necessary. When we reach home, I go to my room and change my clothes. I think I'll take a shower before dinner. Kyoko? What happened? Excited? By Mana? Really? In contrast to Kyoko, Mana looks exactly as calm as always. Thanks. You're pretty calm, Mana. What isn't? What? In surprise, I turn back and stare at Mana. She looks toward a point in space. That must be where Suzuka is standing. Is it just Mana? How about Azuki-san and Kokoro? They still can't see her, can they? I see. Mana certainly has divine blood in her veins, and I know her power is much stronger than mine. But still, the only person so far who has been able to see Suzuka besides Kyoko and me is Hotaru. Now Mana can see her too. What exactly does this mean? Huh? She takes my hand and suddenly I'm looking at a close-up of Suzuka's face. Whoa there. Oh wait, I guess there's no need to dodge. But Kyoko said there was something more. Could it be that Suzuka is tangible now? Just as I thought, Suzuka reaches out her hand toward me. Could it really be... She's talking. Oh, she can speak now. She did say Kyoko's name when she first appeared, but since then she hadn't said a single word. Her growth has truly been astoundingly fast. It's like she's evolving before our eyes. At this rate, she might be able to hold proper conversations with us before too long. She nods happily. If Suzuka becomes able to have a conversation, and if she has her memories from when she was alive, then Kyoko will finally be able to dispel the regrets that she's held onto for so many years. Best of all would be if, after that, Suzuka were able to leave this plane to go to her final rest. While I was searching for the words, Mana said exactly what I wanted to tell Kyoko. But you can't trick someone into thinking that the past was indeed changed. It sounds like a heartless declaration, but I'm sure Mana is making it out of worry for Kyoko. In truth, even if everyone could see Suzuka, we couldn't very well go shouting it from the rooftops. We could try saying that she never died, just went missing and now she's come back, but that couldn't explain why she doesn't look 10 years older now. Even if we tried to force people to accept it using my kotodama, it would just make too little sense to work well. Kyoko hangs her head gloomingly. She must have taken Mana's warning pretty hard. I didn't want to make her feel this way, but it had to be said.
そうですよね。すみません。浮かれすぎていたみたいです。
I understand how you feel, but make sure to be realistic, okay? No matter how much fun she's having now, the time to say goodbye will eventually come. It's best if she prepares herself for that as soon as possible. Alright everyone, let's change and go downstairs. Dinner should be ready in a minute. Any minute. Sorry, slurring my words together. I'm still a bit tired, but I can't use that excuse on this session. Whew. After leaving the two of them in Kokoro's room, I think to myself, if Kyoko becomes dependent on Suzuka and unable to let her go, well, I hope that doesn't happen. She did take Mana's warning seriously after all, and she seems to be receptive to reason. And there's no doubt that Kyoko is still changing every day in a good way. And that's all thanks to Suzuka. So emotionally, I want them to be together as long as possible, but for now I have no idea how long this can continue. Yeah, there has to be an end, and I still strongly believe that things will eventually not go well. Like, I feel like eventually shit will hit the fan. We are in too long of a happy string of events. My body feels heavy. My mind is awake, but I can't sit up. I must be exhausted. I can't even bring myself to open my eyes. All I can do is move my hands.
Makoto-kun.
Huh? Someone is tentatively pushing on my body.
Makoto-kun, 朝ですよ.
As the voice calls my name, I slowly come closer to getting up. But that's... Yeah, there she is. Morning. Wait, what? I blink several times and my blurry eyes begin to clear up. I see that Suzuka is gazing down at me. Is she the one who woke me up? No, of course not. She can't touch me.
Makoto-kun, 朝ですよ. 起きてください.
Kyoko?
おはようございます. Suzuka も一緒ですよ.
Suzuka nods wordlessly at me, but I can clearly see that emotion has returned to her face. We're also not making contact with Kyoko, I'm noticing, and we can still see Suzuka. Huh, it's pretty late. When I look at the clock, I see that it's much later than when I usually wake up. It seems I've overslept. That must also be why my body feels so heavy.
はい。それでSuzukaが起こしに行こうって。
I'm surprised that she's already able to say full sentences like that. No, actually, I'm even more surprised that she's already able to understand situations like this. Amazing. I see. Thanks, that's helpful of you, Suzuka. Now I won't be late for school. Okay, I guess that's enough for a you're welcome. She nods bashfully. She can really speak like a normal child. We're having an actual conversation. I can hardly believe she's grown so much in just one night.
はい。タケノコもびっくりの成長速度です。見た目はそのままですけどね。
You're right. By the way, where are Kokoro and Mana?
もうとっくに起きて下に行きましたよ。
Kyoko is smiling, but I see a bit of a shadow in her expression. She must be tired. Kyoko, you don't look so good. Are you okay? Did you not get enough sleep?
睡眠時間は普段通りですが、疲れは少しあるかもしれませんね。
Honestly, their bodies and minds and souls and whatever else must both be getting taxed without them actually realizing it, and it's because of Suzuka.
昨日はいろいろありましたし、でも休むほどではありませんから。
Oh yeah, I was just talking about that. Are you sure you're okay?
平気ですよ。ちょっとだるいかなくらいで。それに私が休むと誠くんまで休む必要がありますよね。
Well, that is true. We have to stay within 10 meters of each other after all. If you say you're okay, I believe you. But don't push yourself, okay? It's important not to miss class, but staying healthy is more important.
ありがとうございます。どうぞご心配なく。本当に無理な時はちゃんと無理だって言いますから。
Please do.
ご飯。
Ah, right, it's that time, isn't it? I don't want to keep them waiting, so I'd better change quickly. I get out of bed and stand up.
それじゃあ下で待っていますから、早く着替えてきてくださいね。
I imagine that Kyoko is leading Suzuka by the hand, though I can't see her. She walks out of the room quickly. I guess maybe we were making contact with Kyoko? It didn't have all the wavy lines at the bottom, so I just made that interpretation. After that, I quickly changed into my uniform and had breakfast with everyone, excuse me. It was more rushed than usual, but at least I won't have to sprint to school thanks to Kyoko and Suzuka. Mana and Kokoto walk on ahead, while Kyoko, Suzuka, and I form a second group. Surprisingly, Mana seems to be fairly thoughtful when it comes to Kyoko and Suzuka. I imagine half of that is just that she wants Kyoko's issues to be resolved quickly, so that she won't have to stay so close to me anymore though.
京子、楽しい？楽しいですよ。鈴鹿が来てくれたおかげです。鈴鹿は退屈じゃありませんか？楽しい。そうですか。よかった。
You know, I kind of appreciate her presence, I will admit, and you know, it's probably gonna hurt more whenever she does have to disappear, but I always appreciated like a child character being present in a game or a visual novel or a story in general. It adds more to like things to care about or people to care about. Not that children are items or tools for caring about stuff, but it adds more to a human connection all around, as you can clearly see. Kyoko said that she wanted the three of us to walk side by side, so that's what we're doing. As usual, she's in the center, while Suzuka and I sandwich her on either side. Suzuka seems happy to be able to talk now, so she often proactively talks to us. Her tone of voice is flat, and for the most part, she just says single words. But those words have clearly started to show emotions too. Kyoko seems very happy about that. But I'm still seeing a bit of tiredness in her expression from time to time, which worries me. Yeah, I feel like it's like a scale of some sort. You know, the scales are turning.
ちょっといいかしら。はい、もちろんです。何でしょうか。
Once we arrive at school, Mana is waiting for us in the hallway. Apparently she has something to talk to Kyoko about.
一つだけ確認したいことがあるのよ。まさかとは思うけれど。あなた、恋人気分でいるのかしら？それは誠くんという意味ですか？他にどういう意味があるの？
It's probably because she doesn't want others to hear, but Mana isn't speaking particularly loudly. Kotodama users never particularly need to raise their voices anyway.
どうなの、京子。私はあなたの意思を確認しておきたいの。もし、あなたがずうずうしくも、誠を自分のものにしようと考えているのなら、私も考えないといけない。とんでもない。
Kyoko shakes her head quickly.
私なんかが誠くんの恋人なんて絶対ありえません。私はむしろ誠くんに巫女として使えるくらいの感じで、お友達になっていただいただけでも恐れ多いことなのに、恋人なんてとても想像しただけで恐縮しすぎて死んでしまいます。
Does she really feel that serious about it? I have to say, it's a little strange to claim you could never be someone's lover when you've already kissed and even had sex with them. But she's thinking of those acts primarily as being for Suzuka's sake or mine, rather than her own. That does sound like her, but... Oh geez, excuse me. But the thought makes me a little sad all the same.
それがあなた自身の意思なのね。はい。男女にも釣り合う格というものがあると思います。
Yeah.
誠くんには私なんかよりもっとはるかにふさわしい方がいるでしょう。それこそマナちゃんのような素晴らしい方が。よくわかっているじゃない。
Yes, the most definitely not exactly mutual respect here. But, you know, at least Kyoko knows her place and she's not trying to start shit, whether that's intentional or not. Mana nods with a satisfied smile.
あなたは賢いわね、京子。これからもその気持ちを忘れずにいてちょうだい。はい。
Suddenly, Kyoko inhales sharply, her eyes going wide. She looks into the classroom, specifically at Koichi's seat. This probably means, yes, Suzuka must have gone over there. I let go of Kyoko's hand when we arrived at school, so I haven't seen Suzuka since then. Mana squints in the same direction as Kyoko.
なんだか、あの子、彼に懐いているようだけど。
I knew we weren't done with Koichi. I knew he had something going on here.
わかるようになったんですね。弟だって。
Ah, so Suzuka must be playing with Koichi. Of course, Koichi doesn't notice anything, so it's more like she's playing by herself next to him. He must look very different from 10 years ago, but she still recognized him. I guess blood ties are just that strong. They can be. Kyoko continues to look in Koichi's direction as she approaches his desk, Mana and I follow her a half step behind.
Oh, おはよう3人とも。
おはよう。
Mana goes and sits down at her desk after greeting him. She must not care much about what Suzuka is doing. Good morning.
なんだどうした朝日奈。
He seems to have noticed that she's looking not at his face, but at the top of his head. A curious frown appears on his face.
いえ、
She can't tear her eyes away from his head.
もしかして寝癖でもついてるか。
Koichi reaches up to feel his hair. Of course, there's no way he can feel Suzuka wherever she is. I nonchalantly stand next to Kyoko and touch elbows with her. I see. Suzuka is standing behind Koichi's chair and stretching her hand out towards his head. She probably wants to pat him on the head but can't reach. It's a normal cute scene, but I understand why Kyoko is so fascinated by it. Koichi, do you notice anything different today?
いや別に。なんだそりゃ。
I thought he might be able to sense something because he's her brother, but apparently not.
どっちかっていうと俺としては。
Koichi looks back and forth between Kyoko and me and then cocks his head to the side.
やっぱりなんかお前らに微妙なそういう雰囲気を感じるんだが、本当に付き合ってないのか？
We're not.
にしては随分仲が良さげだよな。
She's a great person, but we're not quite at the point of dating yet. Why do we include yet?
刺されるなよ。
What? Okay. I'll make sure to handle knives carefully.
またお前はずれた回答しやがって。
誠くんは
Koichi and Suzuka both make fun of me at the same time. Like sister, like brother, I guess.
何にせよ、朝比奈が楽しそうなら何よりだよ。
Oh man, I've got such a bad feeling of things to come. I don't know why. It's getting worse. He stands up and goes to talk to another classmate, and Suzuka follows him. Will Suzuka be alright like that? As I watch them, I talk to Kyoko in a soft voice so that others can't hear.
そうですね。二人とも気にしていないのであれば問題はないと思います。鈴鹿が見える人もいませんし、私たち以外には。
In fact, we're the only ones who should be careful not to react too strongly to Suzuka.
そうですね。どうしても気になってしまいますけど。
Since she's that feisty, she must be drawing your attention all the time. Actually, isn't it hard for you to pay attention to the teacher during class? At least Suzuka's newfound level of activity is a good sign that she's continuing to develop.
私はもう慣れましたから大丈夫だと思います。授業参観みたいで少し緊張してしまいますけど、かえって楽しいです。
What's Parents' Day?
はい、そういう生徒の家族が授業の見学に来る行事があるんです。子供が普段どんな雰囲気で学園生活を送っているのか確かめるためですね。
I brought my parents to something like that back whenever I was a freshman in high school. I think they made fun of maybe 5 or 6 of my teachers. I don't know. I guess that's what they gathered from that. They didn't give a shit about how the classrooms were or, anything like that. No, it's just how funny the teachers were.
ちょうど私たちが鈴鹿を眺めているような構図ですね。
I see. But wouldn't that make the classroom really crowded?
そうですね。すべての親御さんがいらっしゃるわけではありませんけど、それでも教室に入れない方も出てきます。
Sounds claustrophobic. If Mana were present at one of these parents' days, I'm sure she'd leave and go home right away.
まあ私の場合大勢の幽霊がなぜかやってきたこととかもありましたけど
That sounds rather bothersome. With a classroom full of ghosts, it would be hard to even go up to the blackboard and write on it, let alone read it from her seat. And normal ghosts don't act like Suzuka, who at least seemed to have some level of intelligence. It must have been very rough. Luckily, there don't seem to be any ghosts here right now except Suzuka.
そうですねでもそういう時はいつも探してましたもしかしたらこの中に鈴鹿がいないかなって
I see. To Kyoko, seeing ghosts cause her trouble, but at the same time, they can be a source of hope for her.
鈴鹿本当に楽しそうですね
Yeah, the two of them really look like siblings. Though visually, Koichi seems to be the elder one.
仲の良さは昔からですよ鈴鹿は世話焼きだったので浅川くんの面倒も見ていたそうです記憶がおぼろげに戻りつつあるのだと思いますでもまだ自分が事故に遭ったことは思い出せないようです
As we look on, Koichi is talking spiritedly with another classmate. You've already told her about it?
はいもちろん鈴鹿を刺激しないようそれとなくですけど苦しかった記憶でしょうし思い出すのはショックでもあるでしょうか
I agree. For a little girl like her to die in such a terrible way, she might be happier if she never regains her last memories.
私の方はどんどん思い出していますけど昔のこと鈴鹿よくああいう風にじゃれついてきて私を構ってくれました私は鈴鹿と遊ぶのがとにかく楽しくて鈴鹿が帰る時にはもっと遊ぼうと引き止めてばかりいましたねそのせいで日が沈むまで帰らせないことも多くて両親にはよく叱られました困らせちゃダメでしょって 鈴鹿は本当に何でもできて運動だけでなく勉強も得意でしたからよくわからないことを教えてもらっていました
Really, it's hard to imagine others teaching you instead of you teaching them. Well, Suzuka was 1 year older, so I guess that was normal.
意外ですか
Yeah, I thought you always had good grades since you were a kid. You're smart, so I thought you never had any trouble with classes.
買いかぶりですよ私全然賢くないです
Neither am I, but I will admit, whenever I was really young, I struggled. I sucked when it came to school. I have no idea how I made it out of, like, the really low grades. Just because, like, I really would never apply myself to learning even the most basics of basics. But I guess as I finished out middle school and jumped into high school, I turned a lot of things around. I don't know, grew up in a way.
習慣として勉強をするようになったから成績がまあまあ悪くないというだけで
Oh yeah, that's another thing. I never studied when I was in middle school for, like, until the end of it. Probably, like, my last year in middle school, yeah, is whenever I finally started to apply myself and actually studied. I would never study before tests. I would never do any of that. So, of course, I was gonna fail.
いわゆる頭の出来で言ったら鈴鹿とは比べ物になりませんでした
And you know what? I will also compare myself to my friends. They were always better than me. That's kind of hard to imagine. I mean, looking at the current Suzuka...
それはまだ記憶を取り戻していないからです本物の当時の鈴鹿は本当にすごい天才だったんですから
She's still speaking softly, but I can feel the strong conviction in her words.
鈴鹿
While we're talking, Suzuka shows up. She must have had enough of playing with Koichi.
京子楽しそう
Oh, she has like the same kind of, like, I don't know, the same type of face as her brother. I'm kind of seeing it.
ええ楽しいですよ鈴鹿はどうですか楽しい光一が元気そうだったから
Amazing. Her vocabulary and thought processes have advanced even more since this morning. I just don't know why she's describing people as fun. At this rate, by tomorrow, she might be at a level no different from Kyoko or me.
よかったです
Which worries me even more.
光一くんのこと思い出したんですね 懐かしかった。
So even ghosts can feel nostalgia. By appearance at least, Suzuka seems to be the same as she was on the day she died, whereas Koichi and Kyoko have aged by 10 years. A living person feels nostalgic when meeting someone because of all those years that have passed since they last met. How does that logic apply to ghosts?
私とのことはどれくらい思い出し
Suddenly, Kyoko lists to one side. Kyoko, are you alright? I reflexively put out my arm and catch her by the waist.
ありがとうございます。
What's wrong? All of a sudden, are you feeling sick?
そうかもしれません。急にふっと意識が遠のきかけて。
You might have a fever. After riding her, I put my hand to her forehead. No, your temperature might actually be lower than normal. At least I don't feel much heat from her forehead. Her face isn't flushed either. Yes, it is. If anything, it looks kind of pale.
誠くん、顔が近いです。
Huh? Oh, sorry.
教室ですからみんないますし。
She struggles weakly in my arms.
ありがとうございました。
Class is going to start, but do you want to go to the nurse's office?
いえ、大丈夫です。吐き気とかそういうものはありませんから。自分の席に戻ります。
Yeah, I feel like there's some overexertion, probably from the two of them. Like I said earlier, I think that they're unknowingly becoming taxed because of Suzuka's presence becoming more and more of a presence. More and more less and less of a ghost, more and more human. She nods farewell and reluctantly leaves my side. She walks very slowly. I watch her worriedly, but she manages to reach her desk without stumbling. Once I see her sit down, I walk back to my own seat. But there's no question that she's feeling unwell. I have to keep an eye on her today, more than usual. Because we are typically keeping an eye on her. Let's be real. It is what it is. We've just had dinner with Kyoko, or when Kyoko peeks down the stairs from the second floor. She has an apologetic look on her face.
すみません。
あら、どうしたの京子ちゃん。
本当は片付けのお手伝いをしようと思っていたんですけど。
I'm guessing she was too busy with Suzuka and lost her chance to come and help here.
気にせずゆっくりしていればいいのに。家事のお手伝いだけで十分助かってるわよ。
そう言ってもらえるのは嬉しいんですけど。
I look at the spot next to her where Suzuka probably is. I think Kyoko's offer to do the dishes must have something to do with Suzuka. Maybe she wants to show Suzuka how hardworking she is? There are still some dishes soaking in the sink. Maybe you can have her wash those? Considering how she was staggering earlier, I don't want to make her, hold on, let me back up. I don't want to make her, wait, hold on, I am struggling here. Considering how she was struggling earlier, I don't want to make her do too much maybe? So handling this situation requires a little finesse. You know, I love to read aloud. I love hearing my own voice, kinda. But then I struggle whenever, like, the flow of a sentence is not good. It could be as robotic as ever. Like, people were saying the translation for Chaos Head Noah out right now, the official one, is a very much machine-ish. But honestly, as long as it flows, if it's actual fucking English, I can read it and I can interpret things correctly. Sometimes, if there's missing words or grammatical errors, not so much. But I suppose that if I stand next to her washing dishes, shouldn't be too much strain.
そうね。
やります。やらせてください。
そう？そこまで言うならお願いね。
はい、頑張ります。
Kyoko smiles happily and half curls the fingers on one hand. She must be holding hands with Suzuka as she comes down the stairs. Huh, she looks a little too happy to concentrate properly on the dishes. I'll help too.
頑張ってね。
あれ？今降りてきたのって京子さんだけ？
そうよ。 マナちゃんはまだ上じゃないかしら。
そっか。じゃあ私の勘違いかな。
Oh boy. Hearing things.
足音が2人分聞こえたような気がしたの。
ああ、そういえば。
Azuki-san seems to agree with Kokoro. What? Can it be? I look to Kyoko. She's already washing the dishes, and she's looking not at her hands, but at her side. Suzuka must be there, meaning she came down the stairs along with Kyoko. Does that mean that Kokoro and Azuki-san heard Suzuka's footsteps? If so, what does this mean? First, Mana became able to vaguely make her out. Now even Kokoro and Azuki-san are starting to sense her presence. Does this mean that Suzuka's presence is becoming stronger somehow? Is such a thing even possible? Suddenly, Kyoko's hand slips. Oops. I reach out and catch the plate just before it falls to the floor. Whew, that was a close one.
申し訳ありません。うっかりして。
Her happy, carefree expression was quickly turned gloomy, or has quickly turned gloomy. Well, I'm sure anyone would feel that way if they volunteered to help and then immediately screwed up. That's fine, but Kyoko, are you sleepy already? Her eyelids look droopy.
はい、少しだけ。お手伝いに遅れたのも、うとうとしていたからで。
You should have just gone to bed then.
大丈夫です。
Even though you almost broke a plate.
そうですね。わかりました。
I'm glad she listened to reason, but I'm still a little worried. Because I think I might know the reason why she's been feeling unwell recently. Oh, I have a similar feeling there, buddy. I really do. I feel like the time to say goodbye to Suzuka is coming up very soon, or else we're putting people at risk. And we don't like to do that. I was worried about Kyoko's health, but going to bed early must have done her some good. Today she looks at least somewhat recovered.
だんだん街に人が増えてきましたね。
We're on our way home from school. Kyoko is observing the people we pass on the street as we walk. Is it because the water lantern ceremony is happening soon?
だと思います。
Just 2 days left, right?
ええ、
She laughs softly.
今年はあまり実感が湧かないんですけど、鈴鹿のことがあったから。
This afternoon, Kyoko is going to be paying a visit to the shrine. Apparently, her parents told her they don't really need her help, but she says that she feels obligated to at least do something. So she's going to go and see if there are any miscellaneous chores that she can help out with. Of course, that means Suzuka and I are going along with her. Kyoko, are you sure you're alright?
大丈夫ですよ。
She smiles, but I can see the sweat shining on her forehead. It's pretty hot outside, but it's not like we're walking very fast. She must still be on a little out of sorts. Well, maybe it's lucky that we're physically inseparable these days. I can keep an eye on her 24/7, except when she's in the bathroom or something. Make absolutely sure you're not too overexert yourself, okay? You're the kind of person who's prone to overwork herself.
はい、ご心配ありがとうございます。
Oh boy. So we're going to see her overwork herself. It's gonna happen. Once we arrive at the shrine complex, Kyoko goes to her room to change her clothes. I follow her, of course, but suddenly I start feeling doubts about my own attire. Is it okay for me to keep wearing my school uniform when Kyoko is changing into traditional shrine maiden dress? When I ask her about it, she suggests that I might as well try wearing traditional priestly garb too. Kyoko brings me a set of clothes, and soon we're both dressed up in matching outfits.
とってもお似合いですよ、誠くん。
Well, I am more used to wearing Japanese-style clothing than Western. In fact, I'm still not quite used to the school uniform I've been wearing every day.
お父さんの予備だったので、サイズが合うか心配だったんですけど、あつらえたみたいにぴったりですね。
Well, this is the second father figure that we're actually fitting into here. I guess we have that form ready to go.
姿勢もいいですし、神々しい雰囲気と相まって 本職の方よりも立派に見えますよ。私の方がお手伝いに見えるかも。実際それで正しいんですけど。
I may look amazing, but, well, I doubt I can actually perform any of the shrine duties nearly as well as you can.
でしたら私が教えましょうか。竹ぼうきの使い方ならちょっとだけ自信がありますし。
Sure, please do teach me how to do things. I wouldn't want to get in your way.
足を引っ張るだなんてそんなこと。誠くんにお付き合いいただいて本当に感謝しています。
Before long, I was sweeping the grounds, learning from Kyoko as I went along. She taught me everything in the smallest detail, from how to hold the broom with my hands to the most efficient sweeping stance. I was surprised when she hugged me from behind while guiding my hands, but she was totally focused on teaching me, and clearly didn't mean anything by it. So how's Suzuka doing? She's here, right? Like, it's cool that we're learning all this, but, you know, where's our child? Now that we've covered about half of the grounds, the two of us are taking a break. We're both very sweaty because of the physical nature of the work. But it's clear that Kyoko is far more tired than I am. She's trying to act energetic, but I can tell from her face that she's exhausted.
どうぞ、タオル使ってください。甘いものとお茶も用意しましたから、よろしかったらどうぞ。
Thank you. We sit next to each other, drinking the tea. It's really delicious. I can tell how parched my body has been. After drinking the tea, Kyoko looks a little bit better. Do you mind? I take Kyoko's hand and look around for Suzuka. I find her immediately. She's standing a short distance away, looking at me and Kyoko with a smile.
ずっと鈴鹿も手伝おうとしてくれてたんですよ。気持ちだけはね、手伝いたくても触れないから。
She does the exact same poses, I'm telling you guys, like it's kinda weird. As Koichi, that is, and she shrugs with an impish smile, and then looks towards the shrine complex's entrance arc.
暑いの苦手だから、日陰で涼んでたよ。
So ghosts can feel the heat too? She's not at all speaking like a toddler anymore. Now it feels more like I'm talking to a child that's the actual age she looks. Actually, she even seems more grown up than that. But I don't know what Suzuka was like when she was alive, so I can't really say.
鈴鹿、どうかしたの？お客さんみたい。多分、参拝の人かな。
Oh, I see them. I didn't notice as quickly as she did, but now I can see someone is approaching.
二人ともよくわかりましたね。
Is it a ghost? She's already getting up to go and greet the newcomer. I don't bother following her until I see who it is. Oh.
よ、朝日奈。それに、お、ちゃんと誠もいるな。
Enjoying the street clothes there, man. You're really fly. Or at least looking it. It's Koichi.
こんにちは、朝川くん。どうしたんですか？
Do you not usually come here? Kyoko looks a little surprised, so I ask the obvious question.
俺が今まで足を運ばなかったからな。とは、もしかして仕事中だったか？
いえ、今は休憩中です。お気遣いなく。
Yep, welcome, Koichi. Is it weird for me to say that?
その格好なら問題ないと思うぞ。っていうか、最初見た時は誰か分かんなかった。
I came here in my school uniform, but I didn't want it to get dirty when cleaning, so I borrowed these instead.
はあ、やけに似合うな、お前。
Yeah, thanks.
ありがとうございます。
I think he was praising me, not Kyoko, but she thanks him too.
浅川くんは参拝しに来たんですか？
そうだな。まあせっかくだからそのつもりだが、今日はここの手伝いをするって誠が言ってたから、墓参りのついでに冷やかし半分に来てみたってわけさ。
Oh yeah?
お墓、もしかして鈴鹿の？
ああ、朝比奈たちのおかげで自分の気持ちに一区切りついたし、いい機会だと思ってさ。家の仏壇と墓と、それと湖にも花を供えてきた。どっかしらで鈴鹿に届いてるといいんだけどな。
Kyoko looks at him with a difficult expression on her face. She must be wishing that he could see Suzuka's ghost.
そうだったんですか。 ありがとうございます。というのも変でしょうか。
お疲れ様ってあたりでいいんじゃね？
そうですね。お疲れ様でした。
I mean, I get why she's saying thank you.
お茶とお菓子、まだまだありますから、浅川くんもいかがですか？
ああ、ありがとな。せっかくだからいただくわ。
He comes and sits down next to me. Kyoko sits down on the other side of me and subtly touches my hand. Suzuka looks happier than before now that Koichi has arrived. You came at the perfect time, Koichi.
まあそうだな。おやつにもありつけたし。
A natural response considering he can't see her. Azuki-san and Kokoro were able to hear her footsteps last night, so I thought Koichi might at least be able to sense her presence somehow. But even I can't notice her unless Kyoko is touching me. Kyoko's own recent transformation aside, Suzuka's effect on people seems to vary from person to person.
しかし今日は暑いわ。参っちまうな。鈴鹿が生きていたら大喜びだったろうけど。
Huh, really?
ああ、寒いのが苦手だから暑いくらいがいいんだってよく言ってた。太陽の光をいっぱいに浴びて、その中で水遊びするのは最高だってな。
I see. I can't help but glance at Suzuka and Kyoko. Goddamn. Sorry. Didn't Suzuka just say she wasn't good with the heat? Maybe your preferences can change after you die and become a ghost.
どうした？
Oh, nothing. I just thought it was odd to actually like this kind of heat. I think of Mana, who also loves hot weather, but I doubt Suzuka had an eternal snow kotodama put on her like Mana did.
まあ確かに鈴鹿はちょっと、いや、だいぶ変わったやつだったしな。弟の俺が言うのもなんだが、変人でいろいろ困らされただろ、朝比奈も。突拍子もない思いつきでわがまま言ったりさ。本人としては悪気はなかったんだろうけど。
いえ、そんなことは。
身内の前だからって遠慮しなくていいぜ。ほら、朝比奈がうちの用事で帰らなくちゃいけないのに、鈴鹿がもっと遊ぶんだってだだこねまくったとかあったよな。
そんなこともありましたか？
あったあった。今でもよく覚えてるよ。
Koichi's version of that story sounds pretty different from the way Kyoko was telling it earlier. Well, I guess Kyoko and Suzuka spent lots of time together. Maybe some days Kyoko kept Suzuka late, and other days Suzuka kept Kyoko late. Either way, it seems Koichi doesn't remember his big sister being as perfect as Kyoko does. I mean, yeah, there's two ways that you can interpret it. One is that it's been 10 fucking years, and the last time that he actually interacted with her, he was a child. They both were. It's hard to remember exactly how somebody was when you were that young, especially 10 years later. You had all that growing up to do, your mind is developing so quickly, you might not remember things correctly. You might misremember for sure. But then there's another side to it, and Makoto just stated it. It is very possible that she isn't the perfect big sister that he may have thought of her to be. Or all of them really to be, for her to be, excuse me. Meaning that Kyoko sees her in a great light. She can do no wrong type of light. But she's just like anybody else. Maybe that could be the truth. Who knows? Suzuka herself is quietly listening to us, but if she realizes we're talking about her, she doesn't show it.
ほんと、鈴鹿は朝比奈の世話になりまくってたよな。勉強だって朝比奈から教えてもらうような始末で、どっちが年上だか分かったもんじゃなかった。
There it is again. It's becoming very clear that the Suzuka that Koichi remembers is quite different from the one Kyoko remembers.
まあそれでも、大したやつだったのは確かだけどな。妙に人を引きつける魅力があったよ。
I see. I somehow had the idea that she was a more grown-up kind of kid than what you've described.
いや全然。地頭は悪くなかったと思うが、村っ気が激しい気分屋でさ、自分の興味のあることとないことの差がはっきりしてた。まあでもあの年の子供ならそんなもんじゃないか。
He's right. Honestly, the version of Suzuka he talks about sounds like an average kid of that age. Kyoko's version is the one that sounds a little too good to be true.
あれか？もしかして朝比奈が大げさに持って喋ったんじゃないか？死人をけなすのは申し訳ないとか思って。
鈴鹿は本当に立派な人でしたよ。
そうそう。神社の本殿内で鬼ごっこして叱られたこともあったよな。あの時の胴に入った叱られっぷりは立派だったと言えなくない。
Going back onto the prediction I made, I think the last episode or two, was that what might actually be happening here is that the Suzuka that we've been interacting with all this time is not real. And not even like the ghost of her either. It might just be that with kotodama and I guess whatever power that Kyoko has, we have now painted a picture of Kyoko's version of Suzuka. How she remembers how she looks, how she speaks, and how perfect she may be. It sounds like she was pretty naughty.
悪ガキまではいかないにしても、まあお世辞にも貧困法制じゃなかったぜ。
He nods to himself, deep in recollection.
そうでしたか。
そうだよ。まあ朝日奈の目から見たらそれでもってとこはあったんだろうけど、何せ行動力だけは人一倍どころか100倍くらいあったからな。
はい、そうです。すごい行動力でした。
一度こうと決めたら絶対に諦めなかったもんな。
Huh. So their two versions of Suzuka aren't completely different people. There's plenty they agree on. But I can't explain the differences in their memories of her. And honestly, Koichi's version seems more realistic than Kyoko's.
リーダーシップというかキャプテンシーというか、とにかく人を集めてまとめる才能はやたらとあった。
はい。
Hey Koichi.
Huh?
Did Suzuka like sweet things like these cookies? I point at the few remaining cookies. Suzuka had been looking at them enviously since Kyoko brought them out. And the other day, when I put a donut on a plate for her, she seemed interested in it, though she couldn't talk at the time.
いや、好きじゃなかったな。むしろ苦手だった。しょっぱいものとか辛いものが好きだったよ。せんべいとかそういう。だから供え物もうちではいつもそういうものばかりだな。
I see. Kyoko is looking straight ahead with a kind of dazed expression. What is going on? I imagine Kyoko must be thinking about this too. Meanwhile, Suzuka stays silent, nestled up to Kyoko. You know, I'm starting to think that actually might be the case. The Suzuka that we've been interacting with this entire time is not even Suzuka. It's...
そんじゃ俺はそろそろ帰るわ。長話に付き合わせて悪かったな。
To put it not as blunt, it's probably just an interpretation of her. Kyoko's interpretation. Which is a little, you know, not correct. A little exaggerated, and Kyoko's memory might be the best here. She could also be putting a lot of how she sees herself onto her. If Kyoko likes sweet things, well, guess what? Suzuka all of a sudden will as well. So I think that might be what's happening, and it could also explain why she's feeling as exhausted as she is. Sure, you can also argue that if this is the real ghost of Suzuka, she's using her power and therefore it's taxing on her, but you could also argue that having to put this interpretation of a person that used to be alive out there for her and Makoto to interact with, and as it becomes more and more, I guess, accessible for everybody else to interact with, it's basically living for two people in a way.
いえ、お気になさらず。楽しかったです。また、いつでも来てくださいね。
あ、気が向いたらブラッと来るわ。ごちそうさん。
He waves goodbye and then heads down the front steps. Kyoko and I wave in return, and Suzuka is probably waving too. I don't have to see her to guess that. From what I've learned of her over the past few days, it sounds like what she would probably do. But that aside, there are a few things I need to understand. Kyoko.
はい。
I see her shoulders tremble when I call her name. She probably guesses what I want to ask her. When I take her hand in mine, I see Suzuka standing next to her with a somewhat troubled expression on her face. Or perhaps I should say the girl that I think is Suzuka. This girl.
鈴鹿がどうかしましたか？
I I think for a moment and then asks Suzuka herself a favor. Suzuka, I want to talk to Kyoko about something important. Would you mind leaving us alone for a few minutes?
いいよ。
She readily assents and then walks some distance away, turns her back to us and sits down.
何のつもりですか、誠くん。
I think I might not want her to hear what we're about to talk about. I speak softly. She gasps. Kyoko, do you think she's the real Suzuka?
そうとしか考えられません。
And it seems she understands what I'm getting at. Her response is not confusion, but defiance. But when Koichi was reminiscing about her just now, there were so many things that seemed different from from his version of Suzuka, no?
それは、多分、私の記憶違いだと思います。何分昔のことですから。
But if it's you misremembering, then... Sure, I think you're right. But that doesn't explain why this Suzuka herself differs from his recollection, does it? She directly told us that she didn't like the heat. She seemed interested in the sweet snacks we were eating.
それは...
Kyoko was obviously shaken by my words. She must have some idea of what's behind this, excuse me. Kyoko, do you have some kind of explanation for this? Or you have some kind of explanation for this, don't you? Damn, if only I could read properly. If so, don't hide it, tell me. She doesn't speak for some time. She must be very conflicted about whether to tell me. I could use my kotodama again to make her spit it out, but I want her to decide to tell me on her own accord.
それ、
Or of her own accord.
きっと...
She finally speaks in a voice so soft I can barely hear it.
あの鈴鹿は、私が作り出したものだから、だと思い...
You created her.
はい。
And I have a Discord message. That's lovely. I should really disable that shit whenever I record. She nods resignedly and looks over at Suzuka, who is still sitting with her back turned to us.
あの時、鈴鹿がここに現れた時、自分の中から大きな何かが抜けていくような感覚がありました。
Well, it's a good thing we have two kidneys.
多分、誠くんたちが言霊を使う時も、そんな感じではないですか?
Then, my power alone wasn't enough for my wish to reach Suzuka's ghost, but with your power added, she was able to hear us. And that's what Kyoko said the other day. Now I know the full meaning of those words.
はい。私は言霊を使ったのだと思います。誠くんの力を借りて。
What have we done?
そう考えると、納得がいきます。あの鈴鹿は、私の記憶の中の鈴鹿なんです。
You realized this from the very beginning.
なんとなく、ですけど、確信はありませんでした。
I mean, I kind of had the same hunch. I mean, I think I originally said, like, probably a ghost that was painted over, but, like, I mean, it kind of makes sense when you think about it. How is it that her ghost herself would appear here? There has to be some sort of reasoning for this character, ghost or not, to have appeared in such a coincidental way. It has to be from the mind, something the head creates. And what about your inaccurate memories of her? How do you explain that?
わかりません。でも、無意識に自分でそう思い込もうとしていたのかもしれません。
And remember what I was just saying about Koichi? Could be the same thing for her. How you remember somebody from so long ago could be totally different than how it actually was. Your memories twist. I have a lot of childhood friends that I very barely remember how they acted back when they were younger, and it's very possible that I'm misremembering how they acted back then. Because I think I said earlier, I'm stupid, but you know, maybe my friends weren't the smartest either, but I interpreted them as smart because that was my perspective. Perspective, I think, is the big thing that we can take away here.
言霊を使った時に、過去がそうだったらいいのに、と理想を。
Ah. So the kotodama partially acted on Kyoko herself, too, affecting her memories of Suzuka. Many things make more sense now. If Suzuka's mind was created with Kyoko's as a blueprint, it's no wonder that Suzuka seems like she's matured even beyond her apparent age. But kotodama is a power that imbues your words with a part of your soul. It can't make someone do something they would be unable to do otherwise. If you used a kotodama to order someone to fly, they wouldn't be able to do it. So is it possible that Kyoko actually had a talent or a latent ability to create ghosts? Clearly, our Suzuka isn't just Kyoko's personal hallucination, since even Mana and Kokoro can sense her presence to a degree. I have a very bad feeling about this.
Makoto-kun?
Well, that's another thing. It's life force. She can see and actually interact with ghosts. So, kotodama being a power that utilizes life force, she's saying that a chunk of her was removed. That's her life force right there. That is why it can be sensed in a way from others. Anyway, now that we know, it's clear what we have to do. I have to cancel the kotodama and uncreate Suzuka. Damn, bro. That's a cool way to say that you're killing somebody. We're gonna uncreate them. Or more precisely, I might have to use my kotodama to order Kyoko to use her kotodama, which is actually my kotodama, to uncreate Suzuka. If Suzuka was born out of Kyoko's own will, as I expect, then that should work. You guys follow all that? It's unfortunate, but if this ghost isn't the real Suzuka, it seems that Kyoko's wish can't be fulfilled after all. Why? Suddenly she lets go of my hand and rushes towards Suzuka. She seems to hug thin air as she collapses into a heap on the ground. I silently walk to her and put my hand on her shoulder.
消すなんて絶対にダメです。
This is thumbnail material. This looks very emotional. We're getting into the emotional shit.
この子は鈴鹿です。鈴鹿なんです。せっかくまた会えたのに。
Well, you're kind of missing the point though. Just because she looks like how you remember Suzuka, it doesn't make her Suzuka. Kyoko, I understand how you feel, but
浅川くんだって見えないからわからないだけで、姿を見ればこれは鈴鹿に間違いないって風に決まってます。
interesting. She'd actually put herself in a position where she'll practically die in order for him to see her.
なんで消さなくちゃいけ
Exactly
ないん
what
で
she
す
wished
か？
for.
このまま鈴鹿がいてくれることの何が悪いんですか？
I really do understand her feelings all too well. Even if she isn't the real Suzuka, this ghost is almost like Suzuka's reincarnation. It's not surprising that Kyoko would find it hard to say goodbye. But
それでも鈴鹿を消すんですか？
hell yeah.
鈴鹿はここにいるんです。意志があって会話ができて触れられるんですよ。だったらもう生きているのと変わらないじゃないですか。そんなのまた鈴鹿を死なせるようなものじゃないですか。
Suddenly Kyoko's eyes go unfocused. Kyoko! She sways and falls into my arms. Unlike the last time, her limbs have gone limp too.
大丈夫です。少しめまいがしただけで大丈夫ですから、心配しないでください。
She keeps repeating that she's fine, but she sounds delirious. She sounds as if she'll lose consciousness if she doesn't keep saying the words. I mean, you could actually be unconscious and still be speaking. Just gotta get yourself in that rhythm. The whole time, Suzuka gazes at her sadly and says simply,
ごめんね。
damn, how do we interpret that shit? God damn it. Well, now that that's all been revealed, it's sadness time. I feel like that is what is coming next. We gotta get rid of her. Not that she's a pest or anything, but she is kind of a leech. Yeah, you know what? That's fucked up too. Anyways, we'll call it there with this episode. I split it into two. I had something to do in the middle of it, but who knows where I split it? And don't look for it. But anyways, yeah, this was a good episode. I think Koichi's involvement has been really good, even though he's not directly doing anything now. He's still having an impact on what is happening with Kyoko, therefore what is happening to Suzuka. And since we're kind of involved, what's happening to us? It's, man, this whole story has been really interesting. It's kind of taken its own little detour away from worrying about the family and also what the fuck is kotodama and how long are we going to live. It's been an interesting direction, I would say. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm struggling to find the words, but it's been pretty good. Thank you all for watching this episode. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.